Hello student, JavaScript HTML DOM manipulation. So we are going to execute today. So you can see get element by ID. This is one method that we are going to apply today. After that, get element by class name, that also we are going to apply. Get element by name and get element by tag name. So all these four methods we are going to apply today practically, and you can see we are going to do this thing. Change the value of HTML heading tag, get and change the input value, change the Css property of HTML heading tag. So using the JavaScript, what we can do, we can change any data of HTML document. We have already discussed in the previous classes, right? So we can get the data from the input HTML tag. We can manipulate the same using the JavaScript, because by using the JavaScript we can work with the DOM HTML structure, right? So we can also change the CSS that has been implemented in the HTML tag, so we can also manipulate that. So by using these four mentioned method, by ID, by class name, by name and by tag name, using these four method, we are going to practically apply these changes, right? So let us start. Here is the notepad text editor, right? So I have written HTML root tag head. Inside the head we have a title. Inside the title something is written JavaScript class, and we have a body, right? So inside the body, the first thing I will do, I will just have a heading, h1 heading, right? And it will be written that my JavaScript class. So just a very normal heading. If I want to appear this heading right at the center, I can simply write here center. So this heading will appear at the horizontal center of the document. So let us see how it looks now. Now this is how it looks, my JavaScript class, right? Now the first thing that I am going to do, I will write the script script, opening and closing, script, script opening and closing, right? Now here this is a heading tag, right? To recognize this heading tag, I have to give a ID selector. So how we can give a ID selector, that already has been discussed in the CSS class. I am going to declare the ID selector. ID, I will give a name head. So a user defined name I have given head, so that I can identify this heading. So there could be another heading, right? I will take two heading. I will copy this heading once more. Now you can see inside the center I have two heading, right? Two h1 heading, and it will be written my JavaScript class, my HTML and CSS class, or I may have three heading, right? So you can see in the first heading it has been written my HTML class. In the second heading it has been written my CSS class, and in the third heading tag I have written my JavaScript class. But each of this heading must be recognized with separate ID, right? So this will be head 1, this will be head 2, this will be head 3. So this each of this heading must be recognized by separate ID tag. So let me show you how it looks now. So you can see 3 heading I have taken, right? Now before I start writing JavaScript, let me just have a repeat of the CSS that we have learned in the CSS class. So if I write here style, right, and inside the style if I just write that, you know that this is how I can address this ID selector. So I will write head 2, that means I am going to address this particular selector, that means this heading will be addressed, right? And for this heading I am going to write some CSS property, right? Now here I will write, say, background BACK background color red. So background color I have written red, right? But only for this, because I have addressed by the ID selector, right? So let me check. Now you can see, fine. Now I am going to apply the JavaScript here. So the first thing I will do, I will write here, see, document document document, this is the spelling of the document, dot get element element. So ELEME, right, and NT. So just note down the spelling, so there are no scope to do mistake in spelling. Document dot element, right, by ID. Now I have taken the first bracket. Inside the first bracket I will take 2 double inverted comma. Here I have to specify the name of the ID. So here I will write this ID, that is HEAD head 2. So just see what I have written, head 2. That means I am going to access this particular heading, because here the ID name is head 2 and here I have declared head 2. Now once more let me repeat the JavaScript method, document document.get element by ID. So E of this element will be in capital, right, and by B for the by, that will be capital, and for the ID I will be capital. So remember, E will be capital, B will be capital, and I will be capital for this method, right? And inside the first bracket, inside the double inverted comma, you have to call the ID, right? Now here I will write dot I double N ER inner HTML. Now I double N ER inner HTML will be capital, right, equal to, so this is the document I am calling. Document means this file, right? Now I am going to get the element. I am calling the element by whom? By its ID. I am calling the element inside the document. I am going to get the element, but by the ID selector. That is why I have written the ID selector, right? I have written I am going to get the element by ID. Now what I am going to do? I am going to access the inner HTML, right? Inner HTML means that is what written over here, this text, right? This is called inner HTML. So inside this head, this thing is written, no? So I am going to access this Now Innerhtml means I am going to access the data which is written inside this heading, which has been addressed by head 2, right? Now I am going to change the written text. Here I will write my HTML comma CSS and JavaScript class. See what I have written, my HTML comma CSS and JavaScript class. So this JavaScript method single line command, what this command is going to do, when I will just open the application, this page, this command will run. So this JavaScript command will load in the browser and this command will run. And how this will be executed? So first it will access the document, then it will get the element by its ID name. So what the ID name I have given over here, head 2 has been called. So inside the first bracket, and that is also enclosed with the double inverted comma, I am going to access this HTML tag, that is heading tag. Now what I am going to do, first I am going to access the data that is placed over here, my CSS class. That means I can access the inner part of the H1 heading, and I will just manipulate. I am going to manipulate the text. So the text will be this. So I am going to replace the text. Let me save the file and let me execute the program now. See, just check. If I just go and refresh, now you can see my HTML and comma CSS and JavaScript class, right? So you can see, right? If I just remove this script, so I have removed the script. Let me save the file. Now without that piece of code which was written previously over there, that I have removed now. Now if I go and just refresh the browser, so this is default. This is what the default we can see over here, right? Now if I remove the CSS now, so okay, let it be. So this is default. Now after I add the command, this JavaScript single line command, or you can say this method, then you can see what will happen. JavaScript function will run, JavaScript will load in the browser and it will run and it will execute this command, and whatever default value was there, that will be replaced, right? Now if I do another thing over here, so I will just copy this thing once more, I will paste it over here. Now just do one thing. Now I will call the head 3, right? I am calling the head 3. So you can see head 3. I am going to access this particular heading tag 3, and what I will be doing, I will just erase, I will delete. By default it was written my JavaScript class, but what I am going to do, when this JavaScript method will load in the browser, it will erase the default heading tag. In the default heading tag it was written my JavaScript class, but here I have erased, so that will be deleted when this command will run. So once I load the browser, once I refresh the browser, these two command line will automatically load in the browser, and that will execute. And if that will execute, the first command will replace this second heading tag written text, and the second command will also modify and manipulate the third heading. You can see third heading, it will access this and manipulate. And how this is going to manipulate, it will just simply delete whatever data was written, that will be deleted. So let me show you. So one thing you can see, right, this has been changed, right, and the heading was deleted, right, this heading was deleted, right. Now just let me show you something else. If I just here I will take a input, input. So I have taken an input, right? Type equal to text. So I have taken an input, and the input type is text input. So what I am going to do over here, that here I will declare ID. Let me write something here. ID will be data. So ID name I have given data, right? So now see here. So what I have done over here, I have deleted the heading 3, right? Now if I do one thing, just let me show you. I will take a variable. I have taken a variable. Let us give the name. Variable name I have given data, right? Now in this variable something will be stored. What will I store in this variable? Let's see. Document, document.get, right? Get element by ID. Document.Getelementbyid. Now we can see over here the ID is data, right? So now by this command I am going to access this input, because the ID that I have given over here data. So by this ID it will be this input text field will be recognized, and I am going to access that by the ID over here, that you can see what I have written, data, right? Data. So Document.Getelementbyid data. Now here I will write dot value value value. So I am going to access the value. I am going to access the value, right? So whatever value that will be given there, that I am going to access, right? So let me first give a value over there. So I will write here value equal to Bcsl name, right? So by default this is the value. That value I will access, right? That value I will access, and that value will be stored inside this data variable. And now this data variable I will write over here. Here I will remove this double inverted comma, because I am going to include the variable. Variable should never be enclosed with double inverted comma. Here I will simply write data, right? So I have written data. That means this data will hold the value from here, and the value I have given Bcsl, and that value will be placed inside the head 3. That is head 3 means this head 3. So let me just check. Now you can see over here. So the value that was Bcsl, we can see value that was written inside this input Bcsl, and that value has been retrieved here. We can just go through this command line. Value has been retrieved from that text field, and inside the variable data that has been placed. And in this line you can see I am going to access the heading 3 by head 3, right? And there I am going to add the value of the variable, right? You can just go and check out over here what it has been done, right? Value has been captured from here, right, from the input field, and that value has been put it into the head 3. So if I do one thing, if I remove this JavaScript command, see, cut, let me save the file. So this is default without JavaScript. See, my HTML class, my CSS class, my JavaScript class, and this is the input field, and some value is written there because I have already defined the value will be Bcsl, right? Now if I add the JavaScript, now you can see when this JavaScript 3 command will run, the first command will change the heading 2. This heading 2 will be changed, right? This will be printed, and I have taken a variable. Inside this variable, this input value Bcsl will be saved here, right? You can see data was given as id. Here also I am calling that by the data id. Okay, this is how this is going to referred. This is going to recognize by this id. And in the third line of command, you can see I'm going to access this head 3. That means this particular heading I'm going to access. And what data I'm getting from this variable, that data will be stored over here. That means this heading text, previously it was written my JavaScript class, that will be replaced by Biswajit. Biswajit will be saved over here, and that will be printed in the heading 3, right? I hope you have understood. Now let me move forward. So here I will change the background color of this first heading. So let us change the background color. So by applying the CSS we can change the background color, right? By applying the JavaScript also we can change the background color. So let me do it. Here I will write Document.Getelementbyid. Document.Getelementbyid. Now I am going to access head 1. That means the first heading I am going to access, right? Head 1. So this heading is recognized by head 1. So I am going to call head1, head 1. Now here I will write, I am going to change the CSS style, right? Dot style, style, dot style. Now there are many property. Color is a property, border is a property, background is a property, size is a property. So I have to mention the property name. So this is I am going to change the CSS style, right? Style dot property. So which property I am going to change? Let's say background color. So I am going to change the background color. Now here I have to give the value. Value means which color. So now which color will be set to that background of the heading 1. So let me write down the color. The color will be YELLOW. So let us execute this line. File, save. So just see, right? I can change the font color also. I will copy once. So here instead of background color I will just change the color. Color means the text color, right? The text color will be red. So the text color will be red of H1 heading. Let me execute. So let me refresh the browser. Now you can see the text color became red. So now I will change this text color to white. So what will I do? Let me write once more here. So you can see I am going to change the second heading. Second heading means this particular heading. This particular heading where already this has been changed the name my HTML CSS JavaScript class, that one, heading 2. So this will be heading 2, right? And the color will be white. So let me execute. See, color has been changed to white. I hope you have understood. Now we can do many things. We can increase the size, we can give border. So whatever CSS we can do inside the style, the same we can apply here using the JavaScript, right? So now I will do one thing. I will show you now using the class selector. So till now we have discussed about calling by id method. So we have used the JavaScript method calling by id, right? Now we are going to call by class, right? So here pay attention, please pay attention. So here I will write class. One thing I will do, I will delete so that it will be easy for you to understand, right? So now I will delete whatever I have written. ID name I will delete. You can have both ID and class, no problem. In each and every HTML heading you can have both ID and class. I am removing only because so that you can understand properly, otherwise it would have been much more complex for you to understand if both ID and class was written side by side, right? So it would have been much more difficult for you, right, to notice, so that now it will be easy for you to notice. It will be easy for you to notice now, right? So please notice I have deleted all the ID. So here I will name head. Okay, so you must know, I have discussed many times before during the CSS classes, that why do we use class selector. So by using the class selector we can collectively address to a group of element, right? By using the ID selector we can only address, or by using the ID selector only a specific element can be recognized as other number, unique number, right? Something like unique identity, unique recognition for a given element. For that we are going to use the ID, and when we have to address to a bunch of element, a group of element, we are going to use class. You can see all these 3 heading tag are belonging to a single class. The class name is HEAD. What is the name of the class? HEAD. So this 3 H1 heading tag will be recognized by single class, right? So here if I just write dot will address that we are going to declare the CSS for the class. So dot will address the class selector. And what is the class name? HEAD, head. If I write here background color red, then what will happen? So first thing I will do, I will just delete all the JavaScript code. Now no JavaScript code has been written, so blank, right? All the JavaScript code has been deleted. Now I will save the file, just see default HTML, and I have declared the class selector for these 3 H1 heading tag, and inside the style, internal style that I have declared inside the heading, I have addressed the class head. That means it will going to address these 3 headings, right, which is recognized by the head class. And for all the 3 headings, background color will be red. So let me save the file, let me execute. Now you can see all the color has been changed to red. Fine. Now we are going to write the JavaScript. So here I will write document, DOCUMENT, document dot get elements. Now one thing, please pay attention and notice that while we are working with the ID method of calling an element using JavaScript, we were writing element, that is we are going to specify to a single element, that is ELEMENT. But now we are not going to work with a single element, we are going to address to a bunch of element, right? So it will be elements. To work with class we are going to write elements, ELEMENTS. So most of the students do this mistake, they write element and forget about the elements while they are working with class and ID. In both the cases they do the common mistake, they just write element, and what happens? The application does not work, okay, the function does not work, because we are going to address many elements. You can see there are 3 elements having same class, all those 3 elements having same class. It could be more than 3, right? So that is not element, that is elements. We are addressing elements, right? So Document.Getelementsbyid not id. Now we are going to address by class name, CLASS, class CLSS. C will be capital, C will be uppercase, the rest will be in small letter, the rest will be written in small letter, right? Now NAME, class name, N will be capital, C, class C will be capital, name N will be capital, right? Other will be written in small case, right? Now Document.GetElements by class name. Now which class name? Which class name? Inside the double inverted comma you have to write head, right? HEAD, head, right? Head. Now another most important thing that you have to pay attention and understand. I have given a space, a single space. Now I have taken a third bracket. Inside this third bracket we have to write the position, right? Now there are three elements of same class head. Now which particular element I am going to work with? I am going to work with, right? I am going to manipulate or do certain thing or do changes to a single element. So there are three elements having same class. Now which element I am going to address? No. So that position I have to write inside this third bracket. Inside this third bracket I am going to mention the position of that particular element which is including or included in that single class. For that head class there are three elements, but at a time I cannot change all the element. At a time I cannot manipulate each and every element, right? For that individually I have to write single code. So which element? That position number I have to write. So this is position starting from 0. The position starts from 0. At the top of the document, that particular element having that class written will be position 0, and the last document will be counted with the last position. So here we have three elements under same class, right? So 0, 1 and 2, right? So if I write here 0, that means this is going to address this particular element under class head, right? There are three elements, but these two will not be addressed. These two elements will not be addressed. This element will be addressed because the location I have given 0 under the head class, right? Now here I will write Document.Get by class name head, right? Now what changes I am going to do? So if I had to write anything, if I just simply write dot INNER, inner, inner HTML. So if I write dot INNER inner HTML, that means I am going to access the data. I am going to access the inner part textual data that has been written or not written or anything it would have been for that particular indicated, directed or addressed element which is located at 0 position, and that will be hello world. Hello world, right? So this heading default text was my HTML class. So when the JavaScript this line of command this will run, that this heading text will be changed to hello world, right? File, save. Now see, hello world, right? Now if I write here 1 instead of 0, now this will be changed. So now I am going to address this position head 1. Let me show you. See, hello world, right? Now if I write 2, see, this will be changed. I hope you have understood. Now if I want to get this data, right, and the same data I will save in the heading 1. Okay, then simply I will just take a variable name will be say data, right, and here I will write get element by id. So here we have the id, so that is why I am calling by the id. Get element, see, element, for calling id we have to write element, for calling class we have to write elements, one s plural, right, number of elements of same class. So get element by id. So here I will write the id name, that is data, and I am going to access the value. That is written over here. So what is value? What is the value? Here see Biswajit, that value is written over here. Now, right, this value will be Biswajit will be stored inside the data, right. Now here I will write data, right. I will just write the data. This data I will put into over here. That means this last class will hold the data of the text. Get element element by id data dot value value. So that has been stored here, right. So I have taken var data, and that data will be written for the head class, let's say 0. Okay, so let me see. Get element by id data, find data, we have the data, and dot value I am going to access the value, val value I am going to access the value, and that will be saved here. And Document.Getelementbyclassname head 0th position .html, and this value will be printed over there. Okay, let me see. It is not showing, so I will discuss that later why it is not showing. Okay, so instead of this, if I would have written, if I write here class data, and let me check, get, oh, I'm really sorry, Document.Get, sorry, id data. So document Document.Get element by id, fine. So I have just missed out this document dot, so let me save the file. Now you can see, right. Now if I write here 2, if I save the file, now you can see this is the position, fine. Now just let me change the CSS color. If I had to change the CSS color, say I will change the CSS color. Document.Get elements by class name, right. Class name is head, right. Now position 0, the first element under the head class, that I am going to change the CSS color, that means style, style, style dot color. I am going to change the text color, right, will be white, white, white. Okay, just see, I am executing this one. See, I hope you have understood. Now you know how to change the CSS color. We can also call by name. So if I write here name, so you can see in this input field I have written name. So if assume there are 3 input fields, right, 3 input fields, the first one written Biswajit, the second one written Rajesh, and in the third it is written Manish. So 3 input field there are, right. Let me take some break line. So 3 input field. Now I will just delete the ID only because it will be easy for you to notice. You may have class, ID, name, whatever is your requirement you can have in your HTML line of code, no problem, but I am removing those only because it will be easy for you to understand. So I will delete all the JavaScript code. Now it's just a default HTML. Now let me see how it appears. I will also delete this style now. See, no style, simple HTML tag. Let me show you how it looks now. Right, this is how it looks. Fine. Now here I am going to write Document.GetElements. So here also you will write elements, because you can declare same name like this, same name to more than one element. Let's say input type equal to radio, right. So input type equal to radio, so name equal to gender, right. So male and female, so both will be gender, male and female. Now that is why Document.GetElements, there could be more than one elements of same declared name by name. So we are calling by now name. Now what name we have to mention over here? The name is say fname, and also you have to give the position. So position I have given, let's say 1. So these 3 are under fname, right. All these 3 elements have fname. This is the 0 position, this is the 1 position, this is the 2 position, right. So I have taken 1, that means this position, this element I am going to work with, this particular element, right. So you can see Document.Getelementbyname, Document.Getelementbyd. So Document.Getelementbyd head elements by class name 0 dot Innerhtml. So simply what I have done here, try to understand. So Document.GetElements by class name head 0 position. So here we have 3 class name of head, right. So which is the 0 position element? This one, dot Innerhtml. That means I am going to access this part, data part, right. So I am going to access the data part. See, understand this line, Document.GetElements by class name head 0 position dot Innerhtml. So I am going to access this part, and the value of this will be stored over there. Document.GetElements by name, this fname, right, name fname. So I am going to access the value from here. So this value I am going to access, right. From here I am going to access the value. That value will be placed, that value will be put into here, right. So let me save and execute. Now you can see Rajesh, right. So value has been accessed from here, and the value has been printed here, and this I have done by this part is I have used by calling addressing class name, and this part I have used by calling and addressing by name. Now instead of this I could have done in 2 separate line. Just let me show you. if I have taken var variable, say x, right? Inside this variable x, I could have saved this part. Now try to understand. Now x is a variable that I have taken. X will hold the value that I will fetched from this input field. See, Document.Getelementsbyname fname one position value, that means this one. Input fname I am calling by name, that is fname, right? And this is the one position Rajesh. So Rajesh is the value, so that value will be stored here in the x, right? And this x I will print over here, right? That x I will print over here. Document.Getelementsbyclassname head. So there are three elements of same class name head. Now I am addressing position 0, that means this one, and I am accessing the Innerhtml, that means I will change the data that is written inside this heading tag, and the data will be the variable x value. So here the variable x value holds this this data of Rajesh that has been held here in this x, that will be printed here, right? So let me save the file and see, same, see, Rajesh will print over here, right? So you can see, if I write 0, now 0 means Biswajit, this data, okay, this is 0th position, that will be saved in x variable, and x variable will be printed here in the head 0, which is head 0, head and 0 position. Let me save the file and let me show you. Just let me refresh and see Biswajit. So from here it has been stored inside a variable x, and that variable x is printed over here. So this could have done in single line also, right? If you just copy this like this, paste it over here. I did not require to declare any variable, no variable will be required. What I have done, directly inside this head, see, directly I am just copying the value from here and putting it to here, right? Directly, file, save. So let me just change the value. I will write here 2 and let it be 0. That means this is take the value from here and it will paste the value to position of head, that means here it will be replaced. Just check, see, Biswajit has been copied from here, and this is 012, here it has been pasted, see, 2, 012, right? I hope you have understood. Now if you want to change the CSS color, in same way you can also change the CSS color. So just by name, if you want to change the CSS color, let me show you how you can do that. So instead of value, write style. So style, so I am going to change the CSS color, style dot border, say border. I am going to change the border will be for px, okay, dotted black, for px dotted black. So I am going to change the border, that I am going to call by name, position of fname, position 0, that means fname position 0, this one. So this input text field will be having for px dotted border, right? So you can see the changes has taken place. You have understood, I hope. Now at the last but not the least, I will also show you by calling by tag name. So Document.Getelementsbyclassname, elements, not elements, there could be many number of elements. So other than id, class, name, tag name, all will be declared as elements, right? Document.Getelementsbytagname. What is tag name? Heading, paragraph, these are all tag name. So let us write that tag name. I will write h1, right? Now 1, right? Dot Innerhtml, right? So it will be written I love India, right? So what I am going to access by tag name, please check. Document.Getelementsbytagname, remember T capital N capital, then write the element, so that is heading element. Now we have to declare by tag name. This is tag name, heading, right? H1 heading, which position? 1 position, that means 0 1 2. I am going to access this one, right? Innerhtml means I am going to access the data that is written inside this, right? And data will be changed, it will be written I love India. So I love India, right? So I want to apply the Css property changes. So I want to change the Css property. What can I do for that? So same here, I will just write style. Instead of Innerhtml, I will just simply write style dot background color. Now background color will be, say, red. This is the value will be red. So let me show you. Okay, so instead of h1, if you have written here input, so input means this input field. Which input field? Let me write 2 means 0 1 2, this one. So background color will be red. So let me show you. So you can take the value from here. So I want to take the value. So how can I do that? If I write here dot value, this value I will put into the variable. So see, so I am trying to access the value of input number 2 position, right? That means 0 1 2. So I will access the value Manish, right? Manish will be stored here, variable A, right? Now I will print the Manish again here. So I will write, I will print the, I will just simply do one thing, I will copy this thing, right? And see, Document.Getelementsbytagname h1. So h1 1 dot Innerhtml, that means 0 1. Here I am going to write A, the value that I will accept from here, that will be printed here inside the heading 1 position. So let me save, execute. Manish, it has been printed. Manish has been accepted from here and printed over here. See, A hold the value, right? So you can see for input 2 position 0 1 2. Manish will be stored here in the variable A, and variable A will be printed here in the heading h1 heading position 1. So this 3 are h1 heading, and this is 0 and 1 position, this is 0 and this is 1 position, right? So you can also write in a single line. So how you can write, you know that very well how to write. So you just simply copy this and put it over here. So directly you have written without using the variable, right? Without using variable you can write. If I take in this input, the first input Biswajit, I will take this input, that is 0. I will write 0, right? And I will put it here in third one, that is 0 1 2. Here I will write 2, right? Let me say Biswajit will be taken from here, right? No, this one, input 0, it will be taken from input 0, right? And it will be placed here in the heading second position. Say heading 0 1 and second position, here it will be pasted. Just go and see Biswajit has been pasted over here, right? I hope you have understood what I have explained it to you today. This thing is most important. So when you are going to execute short, medium or long program, this knowledge is very important. This will be a vital knowledge, and whatever program you are going to write, you have to manipulate data, right? Any data, textual data, element of Css property, this thing you have to manipulate, right? So unless you know and practice this particular thing which I have taught you, you are never going to write smooth programming languages using JavaScript. So this is just the building base which I am going to prepare for you. Okay, so in the next class I will be discussing about some conditional statement, right, and some looping statement. Those things I will discuss in the next class. So goodbye for today, and don't forget to subscribe the channel. Okay, thank you.